Hello students, this is the first part of video for chapter number 5 from geography, that is water. The topics that we are going to cover in this chapter is water cycle. Next is distribution of water in percentages. Then the ocean circulation. So these are the topics that we are going to cover in chapter. These are the glossary words what you have to write down in FNB. First one is evaporation. It is the process through which water turns into water vapor. Nextly, condensation. It is the process in which water vapor turns into water droplets. Next is water cycle. It is the process by which water continually changes its forms and circulates between oceans, atmosphere and land. Next is terrarium. It is an artificial enclosure for keeping small house plants. Next is precipitation, falling of moisture in the form of rainfall, snow, sleet and hailstone. Next is waves. When the water on the surface of the ocean rises and falls alternatively, they are called as waves. Nextly, tsunami. Tsunami is a huge tidal waves. Next is tide. Tide is a rhythmic rise and fall ocean water that occurs twice in a day. Spring tide. During the full moon and new moon days, the sun, the moon and the earth are in the same line and the tides are highest. These tides are called as spring tide. Next is neap tide. When the moon is in the first and the last quarter, the ocean water gets drawn in diagonally opposite direction by gravitational pull of such sun and earth, resulting in low tides. These tides are called as neap tides. Ocean currents, these are streams of water flowing constantly on the ocean surface in definite direction. So these are called as ocean currents. So this you have to write down in FNB. As an important note, don't get confused. Whatever topics that we are going to cover, that is written mainly in your worksheet, that has to be written as important notes. And even the things what you have to just recall when you are revising this chapter, you can write down in your own word in importance note. Here we have starts our 5th chapter, that is water, from textbook. See the left hand side, that is glossary. Terrarium, that you have already written. It is an artificial enclosure for keeping small house plants. You can make your own terrarium also over here. Just fill 1/4 of a big jar with soil and press it well, but put a thin layer of humus on top of it. Plant the largest plants first, then arrange the smaller ones and around them. Spray the arrangement with water and close the jar. The water that evaporates from the leaves and soil condenses and falls back in the form of drops of the water. That is the thing what we are going to learn, water cycle, as you can see in the first page of your textbook. Evaporation, precipitation and condensation, that also we have covered in last chapter. So this is how the water cycle is happening, or the process that could be understood by a terrarium. Let's start our chapter. When you think of a water, what images come to your mind? You think of a river, the waterfalls, the pitter patter of raindrops, water in your taps. Children love to float paper boats in the rain puddles. By noon the puddle vanish. Where does the water goes? So generally these are the things when you are thinking of water, just comes in your minds, where you can find the water bodies or rivers, the waterfalls, and the raindrop. From rain also you can receive water, and even the water easily available at your home in taps. And when the rain falls, you generally love to play with paper boat in the rain puddles. But after there is no rain for few days or for few hours, what will happen? That puddles get vanished. Now where does this water goes? That would be coming in your mind when you are generally small kids. The sun's heat causes evaporation of water into water vapor. Then when the water vapor cools down, it condenses and it forms clouds. From there it may fall on the land or sea in the form of rain, snow and sleet. So the process by which water continually changes its forms and circulates between ocean, atmosphere and land is known as the water cycle. So you can see over here, so the water body over here, and from here the evaporation take place because of the temperature. Sun rays heat the water body and the moisture, the air become lighter and it rises up. So moisture and also become lighter and it rises up. So that is called as evaporation. And when it is reaching up, what would happen? As it is reaching in height, it cools down and forms a cloud over here. You can see over here the clouds are formed. It cools and forms a cloud, and this process is called as condensation. The moisture in the air when the evaporation take place, so this moisture get cool over here and forms a droplet. Okay, these droplets together forms a cloud. When this cloud is not able to hold these droplets, when it become too much heavy, then what will happen? These droplets falls on the ground back in the form of rain. As you can see the rain. So this process is known as precipitation. Precipitation means the droplets that falls on the earth in the form of rain, and in the colder region it fall in the form of snow, and sometimes because of the chemical disturbance the hail also falls. So it is reaching out again to the water body back, and from this river, generally the end point of river are said sea. So they are meeting up to the sea, so coming back to the land again. So the same thing could be understand. The earth is like terrarium. As you can see over here, the activity I asked you to do. So the earth is similar like an terrarium. The same water that exists century ago still exists today. So it is not like that is generally we are getting always the water. Always the water is made from centuries. The same water is being used, and we are getting the same water. How? The water used to irrigate a field in Haryana may have flowed down the Amazon River 100 years ago. So the major source of fresh water are the river, pond, spring and glacier. The ocean bodies and the sea contain salty water. The water of the ocean is salty or saline as it contains the large amount of dissolved salt. Most of the salt is sodium chloride or common table salt that you eat also. So generally the water would have what is being irrigated in Haryana 100 years ago, it would be flowed down from the Amazon river. We could receive this river up to here, Haryana. And because of this process, the terrarium process that we have understood, the process of evaporation, condensation and precipitation, our earth works like this. So the earth is called as terrarium, and water cycle process is occurring like this everywhere. So we'll receive this water in the form of water body in the different places, ponds, lakes and rivers. So there are many sources, and main sources of the water is the fresh water, mainly is river, ponds, springs and as well as glacier. Now other water bodies also we have, that is oceans or seas, but these water are very salty, because the large amount of salt is being dissolved in the water. And most of the salt is sodium chloride. Generally after the process, the salt can be eaten by us. Generally we have it. So these are the major lakes, rivers and major sea that you can see over the map, the world map. Here it is shown, and how you can identify which is river, lakes or the major sea. In front of the lake, you can see over here the L is written, so these are all are lakes. And if it is river, then R is written. Oceans you can find over here. You can see the seas also, that is being written over here. So this is generally the how we can identify the river, sea, oceans and as well as lakes. Now distribution of water bodies, that we have already said which are the topics that we are going to learn. In percentage, this distribution of water bodies are on the earth. We all know that the 3/4 of the earth's surface is covered by water body. If there is more water than land on this earth, why do so many countries face water scarcity? Is all the water on the earth available to us? The following table gives the distribution of water in the percentage. So generally we say the 79% is covered by water body, and 79 or 71, the 71% of earth's surface is covered by the water body, and the 29% it is covered by the land. Okay. So this is the generally 100% distribution of the water body. Next here percentage wise it is given. Let's see only about the water we are going to learn over here. That the other part we have just I have said that from the 100% the 70% is covered by water body and 29% is of land. So here we are going to learn the distribution of water in percentage. It is all about waters out of 100. So you can see over here, this is ocean. Ocean is having 97.3%. Ice caps, so this is salty water, the 97.3% salty water we are having. Now next, what is left? Only 3%. Out of this 3%, the 0.2% is ice cap. The fresh water you can see, that is in ice caps, glacier. Groundwater we are having 0.68%. Freshwater lakes we are having 0.009%. Inland seas and salt lakes we are having 0.009% again. Atmosphere, there is also moisture in atmosphere. So there the water, how much water is available? 0.0019. And rivers are having 0.001%. So you can see the distribution of water body in 100%. Don't confuse with the percentage. Both the thing you have to learn. One is the distribution between the land and the water. So in that, in 100% there is 71% of water and 29% of land. When we are talking about only the water body from 100%, so this is the distribution. 97.3% is salty water and other 2.7% is of fresh water, and fresh water is again distributed in this percentage. So how it is divided? So generally the 2.7% is not available in one particular place. It is being again distributed in number of places or number of areas. Water distribution can be demonstrated by a sample activity. See activity box. We will see activity box later. See the do you know box in this page. Salinity is the amount of salt in grams present in the 1000 grams of water. So how we can measure? So the salinity per 1000 grams of water. So amount of salt what is available per 1000 grams of water. So the average salinity of the ocean is 35 parts per 1000. So what is the average salinity? 35 parts per 1000 grams of water. Do you know Dead Sea in the Israel has salinity of 340 grams per liter. So and swimmers can float in it because the increased salt content make it dense. So the water become denser when the salinity is more. The 340 grams of salty or salinity can find in per liter water of Dead Sea in Israel. So generally because the water becomes dense, we cannot sink. We can float on that water. So here those who do not know swimming, they can also just go in the sea without fearing, because without getting afraid you can move in the water. Generally it is dense and we can float on the water. See, this is the activity, water distribution. A simple from simple activity we can understand. Take 2 liters of water, let it represent the total water on the surface of the earth. Measure out 12 spoons of water from this vessel into another bowl. The water that is left behind in the vessel represents the salty water found in the ocean and seas. This water is obviously not fit for consuming. It is saline, contains salt. The 12 spoons of water that was taken in a bowl is total amount of fresh water on the earth. The figure shows us the distribution of this fresh water. See for yourself how much water can actually be used by you. So you can see over here 9 spoons from the out of 12 spoons we are talking about. 9 spoons are where in the ice caps, 2 spoons are in the groundwater, half spoons freshwater lakes, and 1 drop that is available as a river. So this is the distribution of water. Out of 12 liters of water, fresh water, from that we have only kept 12 spoon aside. So the other part of water body would be salty, and it is not being consumed by the humans, as it is having salt dissolved in it. So it could not be consumed by the human being. So only we are having 12 spoons of water. Again, what we are getting, the the half spoon and the 1 drop. That much of water could be consumed by us. So from fresh water, the lakes and from the rivers, we are having the water, whatever we are up to home, what we are receiving, that water is only half spoon of water and a drop of water that is in river. So water is absolutely essential for survival, as oxygen is very necessary for the survival. The same thing, water is also necessary. We can live without food much longer compared to the water, because without water within 22 days the human being can die. So water is very essential thing for human being and for other living organism also. So water alone can quench our thirst when we are thirsty, because it cannot be replaced by the other drinking beverages, like if you are having tea, coffee or any other cold drinks. But water is needed when it is needed. Only that water can quench your thirst. Now, don't you think we are wasting a precious resource when we use water carelessly? We are not usually thinking about it. The value of water is only known by the people who are not getting it. Here you can see the newspaper cutouts coping with water scarcity, water scenario in urban India and Delhi, the water you drink, many major rivers in danger of drying out, Ganga among 10 dying rivers. So Ganga was considered as the huge river, but it is also drying up. Then the best way to tackle water scarcity is to catch rainwater where it falls. So these are the number of solution and the problem that is being shown in the newspaper. Nextly, there are two questions. Why is the water important for us? Suggest some ways in which water can be conserved in your home, in your school. So after important nets, please answer this in your own word, in your notebook itself. Don't take the help from the Google. In your own words, I want the answer. Now, water is that much important. We are celebrating the World Water Day also. And in which day it is being celebrated? March 22. And water is needed to be conserved. It is very necessary. There are a number of ways to conserve water. That also we will understand. Ocean circle. The next topic is ocean circle. Ocean circulation. There is something magical about walking bare feet on the seashore. The wet sand on the beach, the cool breeze, the seabird, the smell of salt in the air, and music of waves. Everything is so fascinating. Unlike the calm waters of ponds and lakes, ocean water keeps moving continuously. It is never still. The movement that occur in oceans can be broadly categorized as waves, tides, and currents. So generally, those who have visited the beach areas would experience the same thing, the smell of the that saltiness in the air, and the music of waves when it is colliding to the seashore, we can hear the waves noise. So that is a soothing sound if you are sitting calmly. Those who love to sit in front of the sea beach, mainly when to look the sea waves coming, that also is a very fascinating experiences. And even you can see the seabirds over there, the cool breeze is being felt by us. There are many things. So generally there is a movement in the water body in oceans and seas. They are not still like the ponds, lakes, or they are not never calm. They are keep on moving. So these movements which are occurring in the oceans are classified into three categories, that is waves, tides, and currents. So firstly we will learn about the waves. What are waves? Waves, when you are playing throw ball on the beach and the ball falls into water, what happens? It is fun to watch how the ball gets washed back to the shore by the waves. When the water on the surface of the ocean rises, falls alternatively, they are called as waves. So generally this also may be experienced if you have visited the sea beach and even you have played the throw balls. So when the ball is being thrown in the ocean water, what will happen? It will move far away to the water body from the shore, but later on it will come back to you. How it is happening? Because of the waves. So the surface of the ocean body, this is the surface, you can see over here, this is the surface. So this surface of the water body rises up. As you can see, the waves are rising up. Then after they are rising up and coming towards to which area? This is shore, okay, seashore. So they are coming up to the shore area, then they are alternatively falling down, then going back. So generally they are falling, they are never going back, but they are generally flowing and the water is residing back. So this the surface of the water body, when it rises up and falls alternatively down, when it rises up and falls alternatively down, so this kind of movement is called as waves. See the left hand side. Waves are formed when winds scrape across the ocean surface. The stronger the wind blows, the bigger the waves becomes. So if the wind is mild, then what will happen? The waves would be smaller. But when the wind is blowing very stronger, then these waves could be more bigger. So during a storm, the wind blowing at very high speed forms a huge waves. These may cause tremendous destruction also. An earthquake, a volcanic eruption, or underwater landslide can shift large amount of ocean water. As a result, a huge tidal wave called tsunami that may be as high as 15 meter is formed. The largest tsunami ever measured was 150 meter high. These waves travel at the speed of more than 700 km per hour. The tsunami of 2004 caused widespread damage in the coastal areas of India. The Indira Point in the Andaman and Nicobar Island got submerged after the tsunami. So as you can see here, as I said, if the wind is mild, then the waves would be smaller. But during a storm, when the wind is blowing very stronger, huge waves can be formed. So this brings a tremendous destruction. It can damage wherever these waves are being collided with. Now major form of this kind of waves are caused because of the earthquake, volcanic eruption, and underwater landslide. So generally these three things is happening in the water body itself, and because of this effect, what will happen because of this disaster, it result into a high or huge tidal waves that is called as tsunami. So generally the height of these kind of tidal waves are measured 15 meter, but the largest tsunami ever measured was about 150 meter high. So these waves can move, you can see over here, that is 700 km per hour. And similarly, the same kind of tsunami was being caused in 2004, and it also caused a widespread damage in the coastal areas because it occurred in oceans, and this tsunami was caused in India. So what happened? The southernmost point, that is Indira Point in Andaman and Nicobar Island, that was completely submerged, went under the water body because of the tsunami. See the left hand side. Do you know about tsunami? Is a Japanese word that means harbor waves, as harbor get destroyed whenever there is a tsunami. So it is the word is taken from the Japanese word. It means harbor waves. That is damaging because the water is coming towards the land area and just destructing and damaging all the things on the land, and mainly where the harbor is said, where in short you can say ships parking area. So these are generally known as harbor, from where the goods are transported and imported and ships are being kept. So these harbor are damaged because of the tsunami. So in Japanese it means harbor waves, which is creating or causing a damage to the harbor. The next case study, tsunami, the earth's pandemonium, that we are going to learn in the next video. Up to here, whatever topic we have covered, you have to complete the worksheet up to that. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you.